I am so excited to be giving you guys this update because there have definitely been shifts in the housing market. I'm seeing it on the news, and I'm really excited as a potential home buyer and somebody who has saved close to $150,000 for a down payment. This is really exciting news. Stick around if you are a home buyer. I've got some information to share about the housing market. Hey, what's up guys? It's Justine with Debt Free Millennials, the channel to help you crush your debt and live payment free and hopefully become a home owner. So my husband and I are in our 30s now, and we have been lifelong renters. We have been sitting on the sidelines mainly because we live in a high cost of living area in Southern California. And so we're just waiting to get in when the median home price is not $1 million in San Diego. Let's just go over the stats of what we're currently seeing in the housing market across the country. Overall, home sales have dropped 5.9% from June to July, and we've seen a 20% drop in home sales compared to last year. Now, the median home price from last month was still $403,000, and it was still an increase of 10% from the previous year. Also, the Federal Reserve has increased interest rates overall, thus creating an increase in mortgage rates, which are currently hovering above 5.5%. So the mortgage rates that are increasing, coupled with some high inventory that we're starting to see, home buyers are like, nah, I'm out. Like, I'm not gonna deal with this anymore. It's actually creating more home sellers saying, we wanna sell our house, and now we're not having that increase in competition, so we're actually going to drop our prices a little bit. So there is a fabulous video that you should definitely check out from a YouTube channel called Reventure Consulting, and this guy lists the top 10 cities that are predicted to have the biggest housing crash out of all the cities in the country. And so we're going to see a lot of high inventory in these cities, and thus we are going to see a lot of sale prices drop as a result. According to Redfin, there are several cities that are experiencing these drops in sale prices, including big cities like Denver, Salt Lake City, Sacramento, Boise, Idaho, Portland, Oregon, Indianapolis, and Philadelphia. So if you're living in any of those cities, or maybe have a desire to move to those cities, you are setting up to have a really good, favorable housing market in your area. Now, keep in mind when you go to watch that video from Reventure Consulting, he talks about how the inventory and how much that home sale price is listed at compared to what people in that area are earning, where it used to be 5x, a house would be 5x the time of what somebody might be earning is now 10x. So now we're going to see those home prices drop somewhere along the lines of a 30% decrease in home price, which as a home buyer is awesome. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what the mortgage rates are currently at, just to give us an idea, because here's the big caveat. Even though we are seeing high inventory in a lot of different cities and we're starting to see a drop in price reduction, it doesn't mean that you're able to afford that again, because the mortgage rates have increased so much. So now with that increase in interest rate, you're going to have to factor in what payment is comfortable for you. All right, let's go down to NerdWallet's current mortgage and refinance rates. So a 30-year fixed rate has an interest rate currently of 5.5% across the board. Obviously, this is going to differ depending on what state you live in and also your own personal finance history. So keep that in mind. A 15-year fixed rate is at 4.7%. And if you're looking at a 7-year ARM, it's 5.2%. So with those statistics in mind, it does feel like the market is shifting to a home buyer's favor. This means that there's going to be be less competition for buyers to get in, so you're not in these bidding wars back and forth or having to deal with all cash offers as much. You can also talk about adding back in contingencies to your offer, which makes the flexibility in negotiation a lot better with the home seller. Now, keep in mind, I think because the Fed increased the interest rates across the board and we're seeing that increase in mortgage rates, this is going to take some time. It's like a domino effect, right? So we're seeing the interest rates go up, and then home sellers and home buyers are still in this frenzy. And then as new home buyers enter into the market, get those pre-approval rates with those new interest terms, you're going to see a lot of them back off the fire. And so I think this is just going to be a domino effect that could take anywhere from a year to 18 months to really see that effect go across various cities. Here's how to prepare if you are sitting on the sidelines just like my husband and I, and you want to get into the housing market and actually own your own home for the first time in your life. I have a couple of do's and don'ts for you to kind of get yourself set up for success. Let's start with the don'ts. First, don't move around large sums of money. If you have money parked in a checking account and then you move like 20 grand over to a savings account or a separate bank, that's not going to look very favorable to your lender. So keep the money where it's at. Don't move it until you're told to. Next, don't do any activities that require a hard credit inquiry, such as applying for a new credit card. When you do those types of activities, it can temporarily reduce your credit score. And when you have that reduction in your score, that goes into play for your mortgage rates and could give you less favorable terms. Also, don't put off your debt-free journey. If you are sitting on thousands of dollars in credit card debt and you still have a car loan and you're still figuring out the situation with your student loan debt and you have a whole bunch of minimum payments going out, or maybe you skipped a payment, now is not the time to get yourself into a mortgage with another monthly payment that you're trying to juggle on top of that, especially if you don't have any savings set aside for emergencies. You'll want to get that fine-tuned and put together, and if you don't have a plan for that, you definitely should check out my budget coaching program, Budget Bootcamp, where we work one-on-one together on your financial goals, such as getting you into your first home or buying a new home and getting your debt under control. These are the things that you cannot ignore because your debt follows you regardless if you rent or own. Budget Bootcamp, where we work one-on-one together on your financial goals, such as getting you into your first home or buying a new home and getting your debt under control. These are the things that you cannot ignore because your debt follows you regardless if you rent or own. Budget Bootcamp, where we work one-on-one to... Let's talk about the do's. Do build up a big fat down payment as much as you can. The more you put in a down payment, the less that you'll have to pay in that monthly mortgage rate. The less that you're going to have to pay in that interest because you're putting more equity into that home. Do keep an emergency fund in place. At minimum, a starter emergency fund includes 2 to 3 months of living expenses set aside in a high yield savings account. Ideally, a fully funded emergency fund should be at least 6 months of living expenses set aside. Do keep a checklist of questions to ask your realtor if you are working with one. I actually created my own checklist just to kind of make sure I was asking about the last time the roof was changed, information about the HVAC, the flooring, the foundation, all of these things that really gets my wheels turning of whether or not this would be the right fit for us, and keeping that printed out in my back pocket so I can go through that checklist, or just having it pulled up on my notes section. If you're interested in something like that, comment below and I would definitely be happy to share that with you all. Do create a mock budget with your new mortgage rate factored into your monthly living expenses. Keep in mind, now this is definitely something that I've had to play a little bit around with now that we have a child. And so I was thinking about this. Her childcare expenses, my daughter's childcare expenses, are not really going to fluctuate. I know that's a very big expense for us right now. That way I know, okay, I've got that, my groceries, utilities, any of my discretionary spending, and some of the savings. So I was able to kind of delete out that down payment amount that I was setting aside, roll that into into what would become my mortgage payment and play around. What are the numbers that I'm most comfortable with in spending on a monthly mortgage amount? Keep in mind, there are going to be personal finance experts out there that say do not spend more than 30% of your take-home pay on your rent or your mortgage. If you're in a high cost of living situation, I would actually push that up to about 35%, knowing that in high cost of living areas such as San Diego, Seattle, New York, your mortgage payments are going to be a lot higher. Keep that in mind. Play around with the numbers. Take between 30 and 35%. Just take 35% of your take-home pay and say that is the max amount that I am willing to go on that monthly mortgage payment. Drop that into your mock budget and play around with the numbers. I think that's going to just give you a lot more financial confidence going into such a large loan, such as a mortgage, make you feel a little bit more comfortable. Let me know what you think of this video. Are you a potential home buyer? Comment below if you are. If you're with us and you're excited about this news, I think we're going to continue to see those shifts happen over the next year. And don't forget to check out Budget Bootcamp if you want one-on-one budget coaching. I will leave a link to that in the description box below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.